So here we will try to answer the $1,000,000 question. Why did he write those letters? Why is he so friendly with so many Scientologists? Why do we often find him hanging around Scientologists? Why are almost all his friends into Scientology? Well, let's get right to it. What is it that Scientology has on Ashton Kutcher? And we're going to go with Aaron Smith Levin of Growing Up in Scientology. And he's going to expose the lies and hypocrisy. And he's going to do it right now.
Friends, who's an absolute out of his mind cokehead all the time. Like the fact that he wouldn't even associate with people who took drugs is not true. Mila Kunis herself, when she was with Macaulay Culkin, was on a mountain of drugs. I've heard so many.
Well, let me back up and explain what Aaron's talking about. Essentially, when Danny was sentenced, people could write letters to the judge to try to appeal to get basically a lower sentence. And Ashton, as well as Miss Kunis and others, wrote in support. And they kept emphasizing that Danny is not into the drugs at all. Danny is so anti-drug. Your Honor, I've known him to be very anti-drug. And Aaron's like, no, girlfriend. No, girlfriend. You better check yourself before you wreck yourself. He was into the drugs. Granted, he may not have taken them, but he was friends with Ashton, was friends with Kunis. And their circle, which included the Big Mac, Macaulay Culkin, they were fine with drugs. They went to these drug parties, so something's not adding up. Something's not adding up in this story. So I agree. This is a little suspicious where they're emphasizing anti-drug, but the reality is, yeah, Danny was okay with the drugs. But now to be fair and brutal to both sides, Aaron as well as Andy have their own scandals in the background. Like Andy has a bit of a sex scandal. Aaron has a sex and drug scandal. But he's been open about it. He says, yeah, guys, I'm into sex. I'm into the ladies. And Aaron was a Scientologist. So there you go. He clearly doesn't believe certain parts of Scientology anymore for reasons. But now let's jump to the more intriguing Tom Cruise dilemma. Because with him, whether Danny really did believe in Scientology probably doesn't matter at the end of the day. It does explain why they're helping him, but not helping him too much. Because if he's not a true believer, why would they? So maybe they're pulling some strings, but, they're not using all the resources. And remember, Scientology has like $3 billion. $3 billion with a B they could use to help you. So they could be doing a lot more, but it seems like they're just doing the minimum because, his family's in Scientology. So I guess they're pumping enough they're pumping enough money to miscavige. So they're going to do something. But with old Tom, it's fair to say he does seem like a true fanatic.
No, I had a few run-ins where even one time when Tom Cruise was counseling me, I fell asleep, like in the middle of the counseling. That was a big no-no. You don't fall asleep while Tom Cruise is counseling you.
You're a black mark against Tom Cruise's name.
Yes. I'd say so. He says in that turtleneck video, somebody asked him, have you ever met an SP? And I say to Tom Cruise, you've created quite a few that I know of.
The person speaking was Mark Headley, and he basically worked behind the scenes for the films of Scientology. I know people are going to be, they do films? Yes. They put out their own films, their own documentaries. They put out their own propaganda, and he worked on it. And apparently he and Tom got to know one another. Claire Headley, his wife, also got to know Tom, and she's given a lot of details about his dark side. But dark or light, apparently Tom is pretty consistent. He really believes it. He really talks like this. He uses the Scientology lingo behind the scenes. So, good or bad with Tom Cruise, they're not blackmailing. It does seem like Tom Cruise really believes it. I think the important question is, will he withdraw support? He probably will not get out of Scientology, but will he be wise and go into the background? Because this happened again in the 2000s where it kind of came out he was very explicitly into Scientology and a lot of people did not like it. And he had to be forced to be a little bit more quiet. So, given that Mission Impossible did not do very well, his career is at a crossroads. Maybe he will at least diminish his support for Scientology, but in terms of being a true believer, yeah, he's probably far gone. He's gone down the yellow brick road so far. He's kind of gone at this point. But hopefully he can be convinced to not be so supportive of Scientology in public. Maybe we could convince him of doing that. But with Ashton, I really didn't like him even before Scientology. But with Scientology, there's even more reasons for me to dislike this guy. But I didn't really like him in the first place.